None of this is made anymore. They are all the supplies you need to make flowers on a loom. Here's some examples. When I buy the vintage supplies, sometimes in the box there's a few of the flowers left. And these were made by the ladies who originally owned the supplies, and I just think it's so cool. That's why I assembled this little board as inspiration, and so people can see what the made flowers look like. So there's a lot of different size looms. This is my favorite. It's the most basic one. It's the finished flower looks like this. These are some pins that I make. There's a few basic steps. On these looms, you can also use yarn, you can use string, you can use wire. This is ribbon straw. I've collected a lot of vintage that I'm selling. This is no longer made in this form. I substitute, it's artificial raffia or synthetic raffia. The real raffia is, it's too thick and schlubby. The paper raffia tears, so that the material just needs to be strong enough and smooth. So the way we start, you want to have 36, I measure like this is my yarn, you have about 36 inches extra. A lot of the looms have notches, which I don't use because I think it breaks the material down, so I just tape it. So I'm going to do this first layer. This makes the bottom, the outer petal, and then you go in with the second layer for the inner petal, and then to secure it before you pop it off the loom, there's a back stitch, kind of similar to the back stitch you would do like embroidery, and then a slant stitch. All the looms are numbered 1 through 12 counterclockwise. If that's the best way for you to follow the numbers, if that works, fine. That's how all the instruction books will tell you to do it while you're learning. I just do it without following the numbers now. So you want to find the pegs that are directly across from each other. And you've got this that you've securely taped down, and you go like this, so it's like a figure 8. And there's one layer. For the bottom flower, I want to do like 3 layers. You can go all the way around or do 3 layers, 3 layers, 3 layers. And that's the way I prefer doing it. So there's 3. And then you go to the next spoke. See how you moved? So there's 3. And then the next one. Spokes, and that's going to create this. And because it's I don't want to go as I just like it better that the outer flower the outer petals are a little thicker, so the inner ones I'm just going to do 2 layers. So the same thing again, and you just have to hold it tight enough, have your thumbs ready so it just doesn't come flying off. Twisting, just make sure it's flat as you're doing it, just so everything's even and consistent. Oh no, I'm getting it. Okay, so there's the 2 layers. Thank you. Holding it, so it doesn't the size or the style of needle, but it's just in my pack it's a craft needle. Something long enough and sharp enough, and the eye's big enough to fit the ribbon through it. So you thread it. So this, what we're doing here is this back stitch, and that secures in between each petal. So you're coming up, you go over one, see, you just pull it tight enough because you want to achieve this circle that's the center of the flower. So now you're underneath, you go over two, see where I'm going to come up? You've gone over two to your left or counterclockwise. So then you come down. So see, we've started the beginning of this, and then you just work your way around. You want to really make sure that you're not actually piercing through the material because it will start breaking it down. I mean, you might. It's probably no big deal, but just in case, you don't want things to fall apart. So this matches this. So looking, you can see, it's kind of hard to see since it's the same color, but looking at underneath, you kind of see where you need to come up. See where this is, there's a gap here. It's not like the rest of this, so I know I need to come up here. Okay, so we've come up here, and now we're going to be working clockwise for the slant stitch. We're in between these petals. You count 3 spokes over, and this is why you need a sharp needle. You go in between, like that. In other words, the slant stitch, we've secured in between each petal, and this slant stitch is now going to secure in between, or in the middle of each petal, so it just doesn't come, so it's going to be stable. Okay? Over 3, back 2. So in other words, we're coming up 1 over from where we started. And then the over 3 into the spoke, and so on. So you get to your meeting where you've begun, and you're going to go back over your first slant stitches, and so it looks consistent. See, we want to go in between this one, but see, there's one that we've already done. Just to make it look continuous, I'm going to go under here, and then down in between the petal. And we do that for a couple more rounds. So see, up here, and then down in between here. So see, that makes it continuous. And then I'm going to put it down in here. You can start taking all your tape off. And sometimes the tails get stuck up under. Just gently tug them out. So you're ready to take it off. I gently just kind of bring the petals up. Kind of work it off gently. I tie everything together in the back. I put a little glue on it and let that dry before I use it for whatever I'm going to use it for, just to secure it. Sometimes the flowers look fine. This is just as it looks right when it comes off the loom. Or you can fluff it. A really good way of fluffing it, take like a tiny little pair of scissors and you can go in between and just go like that. And it starts, making a more fluffy petal. And you can go like that. On my pins, I just like the backs to be really clean. I wrap everything around. I don't just glue the pin back on. I secure it and wrap everything around just so it looks really finished. But just if you're doing the knots, if you're gluing it like on a handbag or or something, it's fine to have the knots and stitch it on or secure it from there. All my kits are kind of one of a kind. I try to match up all of the same companies that made the supplies. Like these two are with this really great interchangeable loom. The pegs are stored in the back. And then, you just put the pegs in whatever configuration you want. You can do asymmetrical flowers. You can have a lot of different layers. And what's so special to me about some of these smaller companies, these were run independently by women in the 60s and 70s. This is Hazel Pearson. She was based in Rosemead, California, which is a little bit west of Pasadena, near LA. This kit was by Lejeune, who was based in Sunnyvale, California. These were all women that had their own companies, and they just either invented, distributed, manufactured craft supplies to small mom and pop craft stores, like before there was Michael's. And just their stories are really amazing. And now in blogging about all the vintage crafts like I do and getting these books, I've discovered so much about them. And this is really the way that, this is how what our moms did and what our grandmas did. And I think it's how all of us who are making crafts now discovered, and learned about crafts. And I just think looking back at the past